It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome to our listeners all across the John Fredericks Media Network, 22 radio stations in key states, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, West Virginia, and growing, and of course on the John Fredericks radio app. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. You can reach me on X, Michael P. Leahy, and of course all of our stories at the Tennessee Star, TennesseeStar.com, and the Star News Network. Well, here we go. It's time for the morning rundown for Monday, January 27th, 2025, brought to you by the Glock Store, located just a few miles from the airport right here in Nashville, Tennessee, glockstore.com. Here we go. Morning rundown for Monday, January 27th, 2025. Number one, President Donald J. Trump just won a stare down with the country of Colombia, and he did it between the third hole and the ninth hole of his golf game yesterday at the Doral Country Club. Yeah, that's something. Number two, Trump on Friday went to North Carolina and then to Los Angeles, where he won another stare down, this time with Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. We'll have more on that in a bit. Number three, this morning at the Doral Country Club in southern Florida, GOP legislators will be there, as will Donald J. Trump. We will be speaking with one of them in about 10 minutes, Congressman Tim Burchett, who represents the 2nd Congressional District of East Tennessee. We've got a couple questions for him about that, and we got some insights that he brought up about Catholic Charities basically attempting to defy immigration law. It's not going to work. So he's in an airport layover somewhere on his way to the Doral Country Club. So we'll be talking with him in just a few minutes. Number four, here in Nashville, Tennessee, the Tennessee General Assembly is convening this morning in a special session to consider three particular areas of concern. The call came from Governor Bill Lee. Number one, his universal school choice bill. Number two, flood relief for East Tennessee. And number three, ways to help Donald Trump with illegal immigration. Number five in the morning rundown, more updates on the latest details of Solomon Henderson. He's the now deceased 17-year-old who was a student at Antioch High School here in Nashville. Last week, he shot and killed a 16-year-old girl. Why did that happen? Tom Papper joins us at the bottom of the hour to talk about that. Number six, we got a Trump nominee update. Today, the confirmation vote will be held on Scott Bessent as Secretary of Treasury. He will be confirmed. The toughest one was Friday night. You see this? Pete Hegseth was 50-50 in the United States Senate, and J.D. Vance had to roll in from his new residence at the Naval Observatory to cast the deciding vote to confirm him. 51-50. The three Republicans who voted against him, Susan Collins of Maine, kind of have to give her a pass as a Republican because she's the only Republican who could be elected in Maine. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, no pass there. But she's not up again until 2028. And then grumpy old Mitch McConnell, who hates Donald Trump for any number of reasons. But Tom Tillis of North Carolina came through, and now we have Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. That's going to be great. Also, Kristi Noem was confirmed as Secretary of Homeland Security, and it was a little. She got 59 votes, so that was good. And I can tell you, we have a promise made to me by Scott Bessent about a month ago, and you know Scott, terrific finance guy. His first public appearances and interviews were with Stephen K. Bannon at War Room. And Stephen called me up about 7 months ago and said, hey, Scott needs to get a little experience with interviews. We'd like to have him on your program. And we had him several times. Very good guest. I called him up and spoke with him just after he was nominated. He promised that his first interview with the radio will be with me. Now, we were going to do that like after he got nominated, but they all said, Susie Wiles and all the gang in the White House said, no, nobody's talking. Nobody's talking to nobody. until after they're confirmed. A good strategy. We think sometime this week, if Scott Bessent is confirmed as Secretary of Treasury, we'll probably get an exclusive with him, I think this week. I expect them to, I think they'll honor their word. By the way, we are connected. We are connected in many ways to some of the leading cabinet members. Tammy Bruce is the communications director for Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Now, Tammy and I go way back in April of 2009 when Roger Simon was running PJTV. Tammy and I co-hosted a 15-hour marathon on Tax Day Tea Party out in Los Angeles. And so Tammy and I have been friends ever since. We also have a direct connection to the comms director for Kristi Noem at Homeland Security. And who else? Oh, and Doug Burgum. I went to B school with Doug. He's a year older than I am. But at Interior, he'll get it confirmed as well. So just stay tuned. I think we're going to get a lot of exclusive one-on-ones from right here in Nashville using the wonders of modern technology with a number of Trump cabinet secretaries. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay, number 7, the last thing, Catholic Charities have been telling illegals that they don't have to comply with the law. Congressman Tim Burchett took exception to that. And, we'll have that for you in a bit. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. Well, there you go. There's a morning rundown brought to you by the Glock Store. One of the things that people love about the Glock Store, glockstore.com, is their recurring gun giveaway sweepstakes. Just since last October, 8 lucky people have won the factory stock Glock of their choice just for entering the sweepstakes. Now we're in sweepstakes number 9, the Abominable Sweepstakes. The entry period started a week ago Wednesday. It'll continue until this Wednesday at midnight. Short entry periods mean less entries, which means you have a better chance of being a winner. You should really enter right now. To find out, just go to glockstore.com/TAS for complete entry instructions. No purchase is necessary, and there's even a way to auto-enter multiple times. glockstore.com/TAS. That's from my friend Lenny McGill, who's giving back to the Glock community by giving away Glocks. That's glockstore.com/TAS for your chance to win the factory stock Glock of your choice. Okay, we told you Catholic Charities attorneys are saying, don't comply with the law. Tim Burchett found this. He tweeted it out earlier this morning. We have the tweet and we have the video clip of the Catholic Charities attorney. We're going to play this, and then after the break, we'll hear from Tim Burchett about how awful this idea is. Here we go, clip 17.
Hi, my name's Barb Graham, and I'm an attorney at Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee in the Refugee and Immigration Services Program. This is a video about knowing your rights if Immigration and Customs Enforcement approaches you. All people living in the United States, including people who are undocumented, have certain rights under the United States Constitution.
Pause. Wrong. If you're here illegally, you don't have the rights of a citizen. Go ahead there, Patrick.
If immigration officers, what we sometimes call Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, come to your workplace, they must have a valid search warrant or the consent of your employer to enter non-public areas. If you are undocumented and immigration officers come to your workplace, be aware of the following. First, do not panic and do not run away. If you are frightened and feel like you need to leave, you can calmly walk toward the exit. If you are stopped, you may ask if you are free to leave. If the officer says no, do not try to exit the building. If you are questioned, you may tell them you want to remain silent. 2, you have the right to remain silent. You do not need to speak to the immigration authorities or answer any questions. If you are asked where you were born or how you entered the United States, you may simply refuse to answer.
Okay, let's stop. Silent. That right there, that is, she's giving advice to violate the law, right? And Congressman Tim Burchett will join us after the break. He found this, and he has a different view about it, as do I. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our Newsmaker line right now by the most interesting and most accessible member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Tim Burchett from the 2nd District of Tennessee. Welcome, Congressman Burchett.
Hey, brother, it's Tim. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your accessibility.
Now, you are at the airport right now. Are you winging your way to the Doral Country Club down in southern Florida to chat personally with President Trump?
That's what they tell me. I've been summoned, so I guess I'm going. I'm not a big country clubber, as you know. What Jackie Gleason said, I wouldn't join a country club that'd have somebody like me, so I'm sort of like that. Usually when I go in Knoxville, it's Cherokee Country Club, and I can remember right after I first got elected to the state legislature, this lady said, I know you from somewhere, and finally I realized I used to mow her yard. So,
there you go.
I probably attempted to date her daughter, and I probably did a poor job at both of those, so there you go.
Tim, you always come up with really interesting things. I noticed, I guess it was this morning, and we just played the clip, an attorney for Catholic Charities is telling illegal aliens how to evade the law and avoid arrest. What's your reaction to that?
Well, the Catholic Church needs to publicly denounce this organization. They want to play politics, then we'll start addressing things. I think that pretty much the Catholic churches and the members have pretty much disowned these groups, and for good reason. They don't need to be using our tax dollars to advise people that are here illegally how to avoid further laws. And just to me, it's just an abomination. I mean, it's just more piled on. It's what happens when people don't go to the polls. You get Joe Biden, you get a Democrat-controlled Congress, a Democrat-controlled Senate, and this is what you got.
Well, the good news is they went to the polls and they elected Donald Trump president, and they also gave a small majority to the Republicans in the House. You are now on a very important subcommittee. It's the subcommittee, I guess it's of the Oversight Committee, chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's the subcommittee on the Department of Government Efficiency. Tell us about your work on that, Tim.
Oh, that's correct. I just ran into Marjorie just a minute ago. She tried to sneak me on her plane, but I'm on another flight. Actually, she's the one who appointed me to the committee. She had the jurisdiction to do that, and I was honored that she would do that. But yeah, we're going to look at government inefficiencies and waste. It's an easy, we all say, oh, look at this, look at that. But, there's some huge, huge things going on in our country right now, and that we need to address. We've got a Pentagon that has, we say they haven't passed an audit in the last 8 audits. Heck, they don't even complete the audit. That's how arrogant they are, and we just award them with more money. We got a Department of Education I guarantee you there's not one bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. in that multi-billion-dollar operation that has educated a kid and taught him how to read, write, or do arithmetic in Davidson County, Tennessee. And, the fraud and abuse that we're seeing in Medicaid, it's pretty rampant, we found out. And so we're gonna start dealing on those things, and we're gonna start looking at them and going after all of it. And I would warn people, though, the Doge thing, the Elon Musk deal. He's talking about making $2 trillion, finding $2 trillion. Everybody's like, wow, that's a lot of money. But every 100 days, we run up another $1 trillion.
Exactly.
As you just talking. And the report it's not going to be till, I think, maybe even next year or later in the year sometime. It's going to be a report. And I would hope that we just come out guns blazing and start doing some stuff. And I hope we embarrass some legislators, too, that don't have the guts to make these cuts, because it's a crooked deal. America knows it. You've got congressmen who have wives and or girlfriends, possibly both, that work in these organizations, and we got to start calling them out, man. It's ridiculous. Our tax dollars, we're not. They say we're stealing from our kids. We're stealing from our great grandchildren. Mm-hmm. Every dollar we spend on this foreign aid, which I was glad to see Trump, this thing USAID, it's a boondoggle. It is a UN-controlled organization that throws money around. You know, and Sean Ryan, who lives over there in Davidson County, who does a podcast, former Navy SEAL, he and a group of folks found out about this, about us sending $40 million a week to the Taliban. If you can believe that. I mean, they'll hate us for free, but we're sending them your tax dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You're looking at what's going on in Upper East Tennessee and in western North Carolina with, you know, the Biden administration just deserted those people, just like they did Hawaii, just like they did in Palestine when they had the, not Palestine, but Palestine, where they had the derailment. Hawaii,
East Palestine,
and
Ohio.
Now you're seeing, and now you're seeing California. They're saying, you know, Trump comes over there, and Mayor Bass, she's a nice lady. She's the mayor over there. I know her. She was in Congress. You know, she was on a trip to Africa when all that went down, and you know, they caught her in the press and looked like a deer in the headlights. Listen, some of these folks, these Democrats and some Republicans, frankly, that were elected to these offices, that, you know, I wouldn't let them mow my front yard. And we've got to start taking control of this stuff, folks. And it's just because I'm not all jacked up on Mountain Dew right now, but I'm telling you, we've got one shot. We've got 100 to 150 days, and it's over. If we do not address this problem, because Congress will lose it. We don't have any guts anyway. And all these guys running out here with Doge tattooed on their forehead in Congress, where the heck were they the last 4 years? They've been hiding where they've been. Now they see the polls, and they're going to do it just like I've told you before. They come home, they talk on their Reagan Day and Lincoln Day dinners and what have you, and MAGA dinners. And, oh, yeah, Nancy Pelosi, you know, she's getting all this money out of the stock market, insider trading. She's not even at the top. She's not even in the top 10, man. And it's just crazy.
Let me ask you this, Congressman Burchett, Tim. So you're on the DOGE subcommittee of the Oversight Committee. You're one of the 8 members. Yeah. Elon Musk is running the DOGE group. Apparently, he's got an office in the executive office building with like 20 people. Will you be calling Elon Musk to come and testify before that subcommittee?
Yeah, we talked about that. Marjorie and I talked about that actually last week, and you're very prophetic in what you're saying. But when he comes, he has to be very careful about everything he says and does. You got to remember, he's not government. I mean, he's appointed by the president. He's just in an advisory role, and we're going to take his report, but what he can do is help amplify it through X and other social media that they didn't have the guts to do before he owned it. You know, he's the one who put out the bill I had about $40 million going to the Taliban. You know, I couldn't even get a senator to sponsor the bill. I mean, that's how pathetic that is. You know, I don't know. Maybe it gets in the way of their golf game or something. But you know, $40 million a week going to our enemies. I mean, that should be a headline. I'd run for re-election on that if I didn't have 5 other things I was stomping on the head of. But you know, I just I hope he does come, but if he does, it's just going to be a big media distraction.
Sure, Tim. Have you met Elon Musk ever yet in person?
Oh yeah. I pitched him an idea about he does those. He's doing that tunneling for the cars.
Right.
There's a process called rammed earth. It's actually parts of the Great Wall of China are made of it. They mix red dirt with cement, and they compact it. You don't burn any carbons or anything to do it, and it actually holds up like brick. And they could do that right there, and we could develop housing. I caught him in the hallway, and I pitched it to him, and he just had this look in his eyes like, who is this lunatic? And somebody said, he's a congressman. And then he paid me a little more attention. But, yeah, we talked. But, you know.
He looked at you like, who is this lunatic?
Yeah. Like, I had a better conversation with Jeff Bezos last week, which was hilarious.
Tell me about that.
I ran into him at the inauguration. You know, all these guys are always shorter than you expect. This guy, I mean, Kenny Chesney would look down on this guy, you know, and Kenny's a buddy of mine. He's from my area. East Tennessee. His dad was one of my teachers at Bearden Junior. But he, I stopped him and I was talking to him about capitalism and and some of my buddies were really liking what his girlfriend was wearing, and I complimented her on that in my Southern charm, and she was so nice, and they were wonderful, and I told him, he sure could use some more investment in Tennessee, and he said, we're going to be in touch. Because I told him I told him capitalism, the liberals want people that make you think that people that make a profit are evil. And I told him, I said, I'm a Christian. I said, outside of Christianity, capitalism has taken more people out of poverty and despair than anything else. And he looked at me and he was like, wow. And then I invited him to Knoxville. I would take him to the Mexon. It's our Mexican restaurant that's attached to the Exxon.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, you better bring your wallet. I said, they've just upped their margarita prices to $7. And then he just horse laughed. And people were pushing up around us, like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? And then I think somebody said, I think they're talking about the price of margaritas in Knoxville. And, the one thing when you meet famous people, they get so sick and tired. I remember one time I met Kid Rock, and we were backstage, and we were talking motorcycles, North Korea, and the local economy.
What else would you talk about?
Well, and
we got 15 seconds here, Congressman.
So they come in and said, "Oh, Bobby, my second child was conceived to your third album or something." They don't want to hear that crap.
No.
Talk about what's really going on.
Talk about motorcycles.
Yeah, music people are real people. They're
exactly.
Stuff. And so, anyway,
hey, Tim Burchett, Congressman, be safe on your trips down to the Doral Country Club, and give President Trump my best.
I sure will. I'm sure he'll stop me and ask me how you're doing.
I know he will. You
got it, brother.
Thank you, Tim.
I appreciate you. See you. Bye.
Bye. All right. We'll be back with more after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul-off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, Tom Pappert. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
Well, Tom, it's been not quite a week since Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. I think this has been the most eventful week in presidential history in terms of number of things that have been accomplished. And let's just start with the most. We'll work backwards a little bit, okay? So on Sunday, we are basically thinking, we need a day of rest, right? Trump doesn't take a day of rest. I mean, he's working 20 hours a day, literally, and sleeping 4 hours. So he's out there playing golf. Sunday he plays golf, apparently. And he's at his Doral Country Club. He's on the third hole when the president of Colombia, the South American country, apparently sends back a military plane, 2 military planes that were sent from the United States, that each plane had about 80 illegal aliens from Colombia. And the president there said, oh, no, we're not taking them. So send them back. I don't know. I think they went to like El Salvador or someplace like that. Trump, he's on the third hole. And he doesn't interrupt his golf game. And he says, okay, buddy, you want to do that? You're going to take these illegal aliens, or else I'm going to put a 25% tariff on you. I'm going to, stop all visas. And it's kind of bizarre because by the time he's to the 8th floor, the president says, oh, well, I'm going to send, I'll send my plane up to pick him up. But then, did you see this, I don't know, like, it's almost like 2 pages of ranting.
Oh my gosh, it was like reading from a soap opera. The material was so bizarre. I mean, this guy could teach on any college campus in America, I'll tell you that much.
The guy's name is Gustavo Petro. And so after he caves and says, I'll send my plane up there to get him, he writes, it's like I don't know what it was. It was like 2 pages of blather emotional blather. And basically he says, now he kind of says, well, Mr. President, Colombia is great and we are dignified. And if you put a tariff on us, I'll put a 50% tariff on you. Now, by the way, this guy, Gustavo Petro is his name, right? He's kind of weird. He's got this. Did you see this? He's like a left-wing socialist. He's married, but wait for it. Allegedly, you know what I'm going to say?
Well, there's photographic evidence, Mike. There's some of it is alleged, but they've definitely passed time together, let's say.
Tell us who he's passing time with.
There is a very famous woman, transgender woman, biological man who believes he's a woman in Panama, who the president of Colombia, El Presidente Gustavo Petro, would spend time with. And they were holding hands in one photograph that made it to international media just a few months ago. It was covered by the Daily Mail. Now, despite this, the president has stated, the president of Colombia has stated he is not a homosexual.
I don't know what that, that's really some weird, you know what.
Yes, that is. Well, and this guy is very weird. If you research his history, he's from the jungles of Colombia, from a paramilitary group called M16 or M19. And M19 was a revolutionary nationalist group that essentially wanted to embrace full communism. And
right.
So now, here we are 30 years later, this guy's in power. The first thing he said he wanted to do was steer the country's foreign policy toward Venezuela and open up ties with the, of course, communist dictatorship down there. So the guy is kind of a nutcase, Mike.
And so then they're back and forth. And then late last night, we've got the story at Tennessee Star, TennesseeStar.com. Our great editor, Christina Botteri, put that together. And the update is, I got to read this, came late last night, right? The Colombia government has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including, quote, the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft without limitation or delay. In other words, and by the way, you keep this agreement or I'm hitting you with tariffs. I mean, this is a cave beyond caves. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
No, it really is a humiliating back down. And I don't know why the president of Colombia wanted to be the person to do this, but I think it sends a very strong message. We are 6 days into the Trump administration, and if you, as a foreign nation, interfere with the agenda of the United States, you will cease to be a foreign nation. You will cease to exist in the world as you have. You will become the North Korea of the southern equator. And that, I think, is a very strong message. And I don't think anyone else in these, let's say, tin pot dictator countries are going to challenge us after this.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so we're going to be sending these illegals back, the illegal criminals back to the countries from which they originated. That's a good thing. But that was like that little drama. That was Sunday afternoon while he was golfing.
Right.
Okay. So let's go back to Friday, very eventful day. We reported on Friday that he was going down to Western North Carolina, and from there we'd go to Los Angeles. And so want to get your reaction to those two events. I thought what was interesting, he goes down to North Carolina, but he's not going alone. He's got Melania there with him. And I just felt like, and he let the people in Western North Carolina tell what had happened to them from FEMA. And I think the combination of Trump's forcefulness, his directness, his let's get it done attitude, combined with the genuine concern and care of Melania Trump, had a very powerful effect on people there, giving them, I think, hope that something was going to be done in the near term. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
Well, I think that's right, and I think it's a intelligent thing for our new First Lady to do. She used to kind of stay more behind the scenes, but that was in the first term when the media was unified against her husband and she couldn't get a fair shake. Well, now times have changed, and I think the people are excited to see a First Lady that actually cares about the American people, who isn't jet-setting across the world, going to her son or her stepson's trial, then she has to go hang out with her husband in Europe. I think that America is excited to see a first lady that's going to be, again, someone who cares about the people, travels with her husband, and doesn't get out in front of him, doesn't campaign for him, as we saw with Dr. Jill.
Yeah, that's a good point. She doesn't get out in front of him. There was a clip, I don't know if you saw this. There was a clip about, I don't know, over 20 years ago, where somebody asked her, what would, if Donald Trump were to become president, what would your role be? And she said, I would like to be like Jacqueline Kennedy. And really, that's kind of what she's done. She's very beautiful. She's got the fashion thing going on, and people want to emulate her. Remember, I remember as a kid, all of my mom and her friends, they all wanted to be like Jackie Kennedy. The hats that she wore, the dresses. I mean, it was everywhere. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that right now with Melania Trump. Then you see the other clip from The Apprentice. It's been circulating. 2006, Donald Trump and Melania with their little baby, who's now 6'9" Barron Trump. Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so then they fly into Los Angeles. More winning goes on. So Gavin Newsom, who's not invited to the conference, shows up and just kind of, Trump's polite to him, but he doesn't invite him to the conference. They go to this conference, and Trump just rips into the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Give us your reaction to that.
Well, it was just a nonstop assault of truth from President Trump. I mean, at one point, the mayor flatly lied and said that the citizens of Los Angeles, the Palisades where their homes have burned down, she said they're allowed to go and pick up the debris and start the rebuilding effort. And a member of the media, I believe, actually had to fact check the mayor and say, no, you have banned them from doing this. They're not allowed. It was common sense versus extreme leftism. And it was, I think, a very good omen for these next 4 years. By the end of that, every Democrat sitting up there with Trump was sort of bowing their heads and meekly submitting to the president, who was just being a reasonable person and trying to get people's homes rebuilt. I think that this is very much different from 2017 also, because Trump used to kind of want to work with these people and meet in the middle and get them to just budge a little bit. No more. It seems like President Trump has realized when people are as intractable and insane as they are in California, your best bet is to steamroll them and build in their place.
Yeah, there was a congressman there, Brad Sherman, a Democrat, who's represented his area for 28 years, and he tried to defend FEMA, and Trump just obliterated him. He said, what are you talking about? They haven't done anything. Haven't got anything accomplished. Did you see that? Back and forth?
I did. You said, well, FEMA is necessary because there's some poor states like Mississippi that won't have the benefits of California. Hello, Mr. Sherman, wake up. Your city is on fire. Your state is on fire. You're doing nothing to build it. Western North Carolina is no different. FEMA has no ability to speed these things up. It's an ineffectual federal agency full of bloat, and you're supporting it because you don't like the president.
When we come back, Tom, we're going to shift to local Tennessee stories. You've got some update about the latest school shooting in Nashville, 17-year-old Solomon Henderson, who killed a 16-year-old girl at Antioch High School. Lots of updates there. Stick around. We'll be back with Tom Pappard after the break.
Hey, I'm Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is paid for by Job Creators Network.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. On our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, Tom Pappert. Tom, can you give us the latest on the bizarre circumstances surrounding this shooting and killing at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee last week? 17-year-old Solomon Henderson, who apparently self-identified as a black Hebrew Israelite, shot and killed a 16-year-old Hispanic girl in the cafeteria of the high school. What's the latest on that story, Tom Pappert?
We've learned various new tidbits about Henderson's life. We've learned that police were called to his address 4 different times in the years 2021 to 2025. 2 handguns were removed at various points from the family home. In his diary manifesto that he purportedly posted online prior to the attack, he says in one of the incidents that his father took the blame for him. We've also heard that there was apparently a missing persons request filed at some point in 2021 that may have involved this young man, but that apparently nothing came from this. Police officers were similarly dispatched to the address in 2023, and nobody was home, but nothing apparently came from this. We've also learned that the school, which reportedly had issues with metal detectors going back 4 years, well, they had a security system in place on the day of the attack. It's called Evolve, but it didn't notice the weapons. It's apparently using artificial intelligence and scanning, and they're blaming the angles of the cameras. So the school has implemented a new security program that they're eager to see if it will work. They note, by the way, that while this previous detection system didn't notice the killer's weapons, when police went through the school with their weapons drawn, it did notice that. So that is something, I suppose. We've also learned that this person apparently or allegedly had connections to another shooter. This is the shooter Natalie Ruppnow in Wisconsin just a few months ago. There's reports that he followed this person on social media, or this person followed him.
Very weird. And also a report that at the time of the shootings, they did not have metal detectors outside the school, but they'd put them up during COVID and taken them down for unknown reasons. Now they're back on. They're putting them back in. What's the deal on that? Adrian Battle said, well, metal detectors have some unintended consequences. She's the director of superintendent of schools here in Nashville. What on earth did she mean by that?
Well, it is very confusing because she said this and then it later came out, oh, no. Even though we have these different outcomes for metal detectors, we've implemented this new technology. So my question is, there is a lot of left-wing discussion, let's say, about metal detectors being racist and having an outsized impact on black students, et cetera, et cetera. Were these metal detectors removed and replaced with a new and relatively untested technology to placate left-wingers who are concerned about racial politics in schools? It seems to me that could be what happened here and why they didn't have traditional metal detectors that beep and let you know when there's metal and there shouldn't be during this attack.
We have laws in the state of Tennessee that prohibit those under the age of 18 from owning a gun. And yet Solomon Henderson was in possession of a gun. Who owned the gun? Did his father own the gun? Where was it purchased? How did it come into his possession?
We're going to be reaching out to the ATF again this week to try to find the answers to some of these questions. The police have been very tight-lipped. The only information that we've had, at least in the last 2 or 3 hours, maybe this has changed, but the only information we've had is from Metro Nashville Police Department. They said the weapon was legally purchased in Arizona. It was not reported stolen, and there is no information about how this weapon made it from a gun store where it was legally bought all the way to Tennessee, where it was used to shoot 4 people, 1 dying, 1 being the shooter who took his own life.
So do we know who legally purchased it in Arizona?
As of yet, not that I've seen. The ATF is being very tight-lipped on this.
One of the things with the Covenant Killer situation back in March of 2023, we knew the names of the parents immediately. We have no idea who the killer's parents are. What's going on with that?
It is very odd, and the only thing I can think is there are some passages in the diary that would indicate maybe this person did not have a very happy home life. And we saw in Wisconsin, police were very reticent to, let's say, name the parents, mention the parents, do a lot of information about the parents because the parents were cooperating with the investigation. So I wonder if there's not some sort of similar level of cooperation happening right now in Nashville. I don't think that's an excuse. I think people deserve to know what's happening, especially parents who need to know warning signs in their children to look for to make sure their kids don't go down this same dark path.
The purported manifesto diary of this killer was made public. It's still not been authenticated within hours. Meanwhile, Audrey Elizabeth Hale, the killer who was killed on that same day at Covenant School here in Nashville, her manifesto, 1,000 pages or so. We've been litigating to get it. We got 90 pages released to us legally that we've published, but the other 1,000 pages we don't have. Clear contrast in the availability of these manifestos. We got 30 seconds. Why the disparity?
Part of it is how the killer decided to leave the manifestos, but part of it is this police control. We've seen the same thing in Wisconsin. We're now months out from the shooting. They've yet to confirm that what's publicly available is what was written by the killer. We're seeing the same thing here. So even when they have the documents public, they can't hide it. They're refusing to authenticate. It's very disconcerting.
Tom Pappert, thanks for your great reporting at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, Michael. Anytime.
All right. Up next, we'll take a break. When we get back, we'll hear from Fran Bush, former member of the Metro Nashville School Board, what's going on at Antioch High School. And then Todd Bensman will give us an update on everything related to illegal immigration. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. We'll be back after this.